Hi guys, what we have here today is a parcel from OneTigris. In fact, this is actually given to me by them for a gear review. So they have a forum page and you can apply to be a gear tester, apply for products that are going to be practical for you, and then they select usually 2 or 3 people out of the 100 or so that apply, and they send you out the product and you basically have a month to test it and review it. So this is what I'm doing today. This is their new admin pouch. So this is obviously the prototype, so final design might be a little bit different. So I have actually already removed the tags off the product, so we'll get rid of the bag for now. So it comes with a little bit of marketing, shows you some of their ambassadors and their Instagram and Facebook and all those things, so a whole lot of cool photos in that, people using the gear, so that's neat to see, and obviously the tags on it. So I got the information out of OneTigris. It is 500D Cordura, imported from the United States, and then used in the manufacturing process, obviously in China. It is YKK zippered, which are pretty much industry standard, good quality zippers, and they didn't really give me a whole lot more specs on it than that. It is padded, obviously Velcro up the top, and it's a tear open design. So obviously you've got your standard webbing on the back, good to go. Interesting design with these little buckles to secure it. Let's see, they're going to be extremely secure though, so that's always cool. So bungee on the front, nice big elastic pouches here on the sides, obviously loops. These would be great to fit a pen if I've got a pen over here somewhere. There's a marker, right? Yeah, it's just a little bit short, that's all right. It's still gonna, once I get stuff inside it, they'll probably pack out. So like I said to you, it's a tear open design. It does actually have a hanging hook here on the back ready to go, and it tears open. Now immediately it's got bungee cord here to stop this tearing open all the way, so that's quite nice. Obviously completely adjustable. For the purpose of this video, so you can actually see what's going on, I'm going to actually take this off. When I get to testing it, I'll put it obviously back on, but for the purpose of the videoing anyway, we'll get rid of that. So obviously you've got a whole lot of nice pouches in here. First one's a canvasy type pouch, and then you've got the elastic loops. You've got the doubled loops, so you've got a large one on the back and 2 half-size ones on the front. 2 nice size elastic loops here on the side, and then this bungee cord arrangement here at the front, which is quite interesting. I've never really seen this done before. I sort of wonder how we're going to attach things, but I'm going to have a bit of a play with that and see how that goes. Nice solidly sewn handle, very good quality. Nice stitching all around too, and these YKK zippers are the sort of snag free, dust proof, not waterproof because they're not rubberized, it still is the canvas material, but very nice zippers, very smooth. Tied on with paracord, which is cool. At least they don't sit there and rattle. That's always a bonus. I hate metal zippers. They just sit there and they rattle all day and drive you around the bend. I typically get the side cutters out, cut the metal zipper off and run a bit of paracord through them like this anyway. So they've done that from day one, so bonus points for that. Obviously adjustable elastic here on the front, that's fantastic. You can put so many different things in there, or you could just leave that for things that you need to tuck in there in an emergency. You could even tuck a torch in there, I guess. It does actually have one at the bottom, so if you do put something long in there, it's not inclined to go out at the bottom, which is cool. So first impressions are fantastic. Brilliant, top notch. Can't wait to review this. Now it is advertised as an admin pouch. I did make the comment when I put my little application in to do this that I would be using it as a medical pouch. So I'm going to do that primarily, but I might chuck a few things in there like notepads and that later on, just to give it a fair test as an admin pouch. For me though, it seems rather large to be an admin pouch. I think they maybe need to change the marketing and call it a general purpose pouch. To me, an admin pouch holds things like maps and that, and you'd want it really skinny to be able to mount on the front of your plate carrier or your chest rig or whatever it happens to be. In terms of like mounting this like on the side of a backpack, that'd be perfect. Yeah, just so it's not in your way. I don't like having a lot of things right up in front on my chest. I'd rather have it low profile at the front, and then put any of these larger bulky things either at the sides or at the back. It just means you can get lower to the ground too. That's obviously an airsoft or a tactical situation that you want to get lower to the ground. But yeah, it just means you're not tripping over things in front of you as well. Cool. Well, I'll come back in a couple of weeks after I've played around with this and used this. Probably won't get attached to any vests or rigs, just, well, purely for testing purposes only. Day to day I can see this sort of getting thrown in and out of my cars, depending on which one I'm driving, and sort of thrown in and out of backpacks and just taken most places with me around, you know. Always like having a medical pouch. And yeah, so we'll see what happens, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks after I've tested it. Folks, so as I alluded to in the last part of the review, I have removed the bungee that stops the entire flap from folding down all the way. Just for the purpose of the review, ultimately it is quite helpful. So I've set it up as my daily IFAK medical pouch. This thing literally has no more room left in it. I've struggled with a couple of little aspects of it that I didn't really like, but all in all it's worked out well. So here on the side, obviously ballpoint pen, marker pen, perfect. This side, obviously I've got my tourniquet on a tourniquet now, just as a backbone to keep it stiff. Because we've got this stitch in here, it obviously doesn't fit. Now if you're using this as an admin pouch, siloam sticks, things like that in the side, not a problem. I found the best place to place my scissors was here on the front, because obviously once again you could place them in the side, but you'd have very little to secure it with. I mentioned I could probably run this strap actually through one of those, maybe bring it around to the side, but that's worked for me now. So I'll just take that out of there. So the elastic on the front is definitely very usable. Obviously if you think it's in the way or you're going to get it hung up on something, you can always take it out. I've just added a cheap little medical pouch. So like I said, normally if the bungee was attached, you'd end up about here, okay? So obviously the point is, if I need to get into this in a hurry, just pull it straight on down like this. So to be honest, my biggest disappointment was this elastic here on the front. I struggled to find a decent way to put anything into this Velcro. Now, if you were using it as an admin pouch, obviously this decompression needle would be roughly the same size as a pen. So you can weave a pen in through here. In terms of weaving anything else in here, you could weave stuff horizontally, but it would need to be substantially shorter than this. So yeah, I think that could probably benefit from some more elastic loops like this as opposed to those. You know, I've put my nasal airway in here, so obviously flexible, you know, it bends with the contour when you actually do close this up, and obviously just a bit of gauze there in the bottom, so it wasn't super ideal, but it worked anyway. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull everything out and just show you how much stuff I've actually crammed in here, so you've got an idea. So obviously decompression needle, nasal airway, Bit of gauze, that's just some cheap and nasty gauze, but hey, gauze is gauze. Obviously CPR mask, that's just sitting on the top. Same with the gloves. You could weave the gloves here in the front. Obviously the risk, if you're really in a hurry to grab those out, you may end up tearing them. They are nitrile, but you still may end up tearing them. What else have I got? I have one of the IDF standard issue bandages. This is not an Israeli bandage like most people know. This is just a plain old bandage. Of course, as you can see, they're really small. They fit anywhere. You know, you can put them in the pocket of your cargo pants, whatever. They're brilliant. Bit of lube for the nasal airway. Rat's tourniquet. Now, because I have a dog, the rat's tourniquet's slightly more beneficial to me. They're better, you know, for animals and smaller children. Heaps of people will use the cat tourniquets without a problem, but that's just quick and easy for me. I find they're really easy to apply. Doesn't matter how big or how small your limb is, so that's a preference thing. You don't have to obviously carry both. This is the proper Israeli bandage in here. So this is the 4-inch Israeli bandage, obviously, so the gear's piling up here now. I do carry one of the tinfoil emergency blankets. People who tend to go into shock and things like that, you want to try and keep them warm, particularly if you've got them laying on the ground somewhere, trying to keep as much body heat as possible. Wound clot, hemostatic gauze, obviously sits nice and flat down the back, and yes, I have folded my chest seals. It's not really the end of the world, guys. So ultimately I found this part of the pouch substantially more usable than the front half here. Okay, if I was going to have this redesigned, or you really wanted my personal opinion, I would put more Velcro, sorry, not Velcro, elastic loops like we've got here in the back of the pouch up here. You could even have like a long zippered pocket here. Obviously pins aren't flexible, so that's probably not the greatest thing in the world. So all in all, fantastic pouch. I'll get this stuff out of the way. So that's the idea anyway of how much stuff you can put in these bags, pouches. Get rid of that as well. So it's been chucked in the bottom of a backpack for 2 weeks now. There is absolutely no wear on it. It's high quality, as you come to expect. We'll get rid of those as well. So yes, definitely, if this was on your plate carrier and you were looking at it like that below you, obviously that elastic bungee cord that goes between here and here would be great. It would stop this going completely down like this and making it almost useless to you. It would keep it up here, and then when you want to zip it back up, obviously back in there. To me, it's a bit bulky to run on the front of a plate carrier or something like that. To run it at the back or the sides wouldn't be a problem. You could run it down a bit lower on a belt. Personally, I don't like a lot of stuff on the front of my plate carrier, so they could have possibly gone wider and thinner to allow that if you were looking at a admin pouch as opposed to what I've done, which is a medical pouch. As a medical pouch, fantastic. Like I said before, it's padded, so it's gone really well. Now, I'm not going to include the video of me doing it because in all honesty it was painful, and it would be equally painful to watch. Doing this little clip up in really tight Molle or Pals or whatever webbing you have is a little bit of a nightmare. So basically this buckle here, and you can see it here, is actually going to be under that row of webbing. So you come around your ring here. Now you've got to try and do that up under there. Okay, it's not pretty, guys. If you were to skip that last row, you would be far better off. So hypothetically, pretend we're putting this onto something with webbing. You'd run through that one like that. Oh, bear with me. You'd run through the last loop there. You would not bother using this one here, this very bottom loop, and you'd come around and you'd do it like this. So I almost feel that this bottom row here is redundant. The other thing is too, it would provide less support down here at the bottom of the bag. Not really the end of the world. You want the support at the top of the bag, which is what it's doing. So in terms of security, that's never going to come off. It's just impossible to do. And I mean, this is fairly loose webbing as well. I have experienced a lot of stuff over the years that is extremely tight. Like, I couldn't even put my finger through it, it's that tight. And you would just simply not be able to weave that through and then try and do up the clip. So, you know, points for security, loss of points for ease of doing it up. Mind you, if you're going to set this up once and you're not really worried about it, once it's set up, you're going to leave it there, then you're not worried if it's a one-time gig. If you're going to be taking it on and off and changing your pouches around, it's going to become a bit of a pain. All in all, fantastic. My complaints about it are pretty minor. You know, if you go out and buy this pouch and you wanted that to be one piece, you could simply unpick that stitching in the middle. It is a one-piece elastic loop. Probably in the long run, that's what I'll end up doing on one side of that. As for this, there's sort of no way that you're going to be able to improve it yourself at home. That would have to be something that would be corrected or modified at the factory. There's nothing wrong with it, it just didn't suit me and my needs. Yeah, all in all, folks, that's it's been great. It's been really fantastic, actually. Very hard wearing. I haven't actually mounted it to something and wore it for any period of time. But I mean, it's so hard wearing. I can rough this up and down on the workbench, you know, just a little, no wear to it. It's just fantastic quality. And that's what I've come to expect out of OneTigris. I've got many products that I've bought with my own money, and not a single one of them shows wear and tear. I'm not extremely rough on my gear, but I'm not that forgiving either, so great. Now, that they advertised as a hanger. Alright, so I guess if you had this in a car or you were somewhere and you had a hook and you were using this bag, you could hang it up and then have it blown out like that with the elastic holding it in this position and be able to get everything without it flying around all over the place. In my vehicle, I've got a few bits of hooks and pieces around the place, so I did actually hang it up a couple of times. I mean, you could carabiner it to things too if you want it to stay secure. But yeah, all in all, you don't need to mount it to something. It works perfectly by itself, just as a standalone product. Okay, so it's only fair that it's advertised as a admin pouch, that I tested as an admin pouch. So here's a few things I'd carry as an admin pouch. Obviously, in addition to this, probably a compass and maybe a little map, you know, folded up. There's nowhere really to put a map unfolded. You know, if this was going to be my admin pouch, I'd like to see something that's clear here on the front that would allow me to put a map in here. Obviously, just because of the area of it, you wouldn't get a very big map and you couldn't have a lot of detail on it. But certainly if you had your full-size map, you could just have it folded up here in the back. So basically, the emergency blanket, that's going to stand in for a map today. So obviously, map straight in the back, easy. My decompression needle is actually going to stand in for a xylem stick or a chem light or whatever you want to call it. I've got some buried away, and by the time I get them out, it's just easier to use this. So obviously you can put things like xylem sticks, you can put markers in the outside, you can put pens in the outside, sweet. E-Trex, GPS, nice little small GPS, very common unit, particularly here in New Zealand. They're great, they fit in your pocket, they're brilliant. So obviously that sits really nicely in the side. My Kestrel, all this stuff I paid for, guys. It's not an advertisement for their brand in any way. So, okay, it works as an admin pouch. Now, in terms of putting pens on the inside, you can weave them through here. It's a little bit clunky. I have to say that's probably the only thing I would change about this pouch, is actually that. I can deal with the Molle on the back, that's not the end of the world. Every pouch manufacturer has a different way of doing their Molle. Some are good, some are bad. I have to give them points on being secure though. That is never ever going to come off. And obviously notepad in there along with the map, really important, little pencil in the binder. So as an admin pouch, it still works perfectly. The function is great. The only reason I wouldn't use this as an admin pouch purely is the bulk of it when it's on the front of a vest or a plate carrier or a chest rig. Beyond that though, perfect little admin pouch. Now I did notice something before in me being a bit rough and tumble with it. The only thing I've noticed is a frayed end on a bit of the stitching. Now I don't think that's going to come apart, judging by it, looking at it right now. I think that's just the tails for when they stitch the thing. That's the only flaw I can find in. Okay, there's a few more, I'll give you that. Quick go with the lighter and you could just melt those back away. They're not the bag's not going to fall apart, I can assure you of that right now. This thing is solid. Like, I can pull and pull on that. That is not going to come apart. It has been made very, very well. Nice reinforced stitching everywhere. Guys, this is a fantastic pouch. I can't wait to see the final production product. But this is going to continue to be my medical pouch for quite some time yet. You know, and as we can see, works as an admin pouch perfectly fine. I could see me taking that hunting. My Kestrel and my E-Trex tucked in there. Because it's padded, they are protected, so it offers an extra layer of protection. Yeah, all in all, fantastic product. The only thing that annoys me is this front pouch, but that's not the end of the world. I think probably what I'll do long term is actually end up taking some of these weaves out and allowing me to put things like my decompression needle in here. A little bit nice, a little bit secure, but it's certainly, it's not completely useless. You can definitely find a use for it. Brilliant guys, well thanks for that. Thank you OneTigris for sending me the product out to review. It's been good fun. Something I don't do very often. All in all, great product. Thanks for watching guys. Have a good one.